Thank you everybody for sticking in. I'm second to last here. My name is Melinda Capel and I'm the CEO and President of Atlas Regeneration Technologies. And what we're doing is we're developing a suite of sensors that can detect what's in water. So it's pretty hard to tell what's in your water. It's clear you can't tell if there's high levels of calcium, high levels of nitrate, or high levels of lead. You just have to trust that it's not in there. We're starting off with a hardness sensor because there's many benefits of having soft water, and we've got a pretty good expertise in terms of water treatment, so that's where we're going to start. So water softeners provide a lot of benefits, as I mentioned, but they've got two big problems. They're inefficient, and without monitoring of how they're doing, they have problems, meaning they have failures, or they allow hardness to leak into the system and things of that sort. We started off with wanting to solve an environmental problem. Every water softener has a fixed amount of capacity, and as soon as it's full, you have to recharge it. And you recharge it with a very salty solution. It's about 5 times as salty as seawater, and all of that salt gets into the drains, which gets into the rivers. It's very expensive for downstream users. So in places like California, Wisconsin, and Arizona, they've either banned water softeners or they've started to restrict them heavily, and so that has closed the markets for salt-based water softeners. We also participated in ICOR, and after 150 interviews with water treatment service companies, original equipment manufacturers, and those sorts of folks, what they said is they want to have IoT sensors. They want to know whether or not the softeners that are in the field are working properly, and if there is a problem, they want to get a text message or an email. Some companies have actually even started working on making their own probes themselves, but so far they haven't been successful. So what we can do? We can improve the reliability and we can improve the efficiency. This can allow OEMs to have more eco-friendly products. It could also show that they've got more advancement in that sort of thing. Increased sales, that's the key takeaway with that. Service companies can provide added value. So when it's a fairly crowded market in the service industry right now. And so if you say that you can guarantee a certain kind of water quality, this is going to allow them to have get more sales and probably charge more for it as well. And finally, with the continuous monitoring, if you're in an area like El Paso where we have different kinds of water quality depending on which side of town you're on, and if you're in certain parts of town where the water changes over time, our sensor can take care of that. So what's out there? There's no hardness sensor that's out there on the market right now. We will be the first one to go to market with our strategy. So what are people doing right now? Well, softeners are regenerated either based off of time or off of a water meter. And both of these are low-cost sorts of options, but they don't give you any kind of a direct ability to know whether or not your softener is working properly. I mentioned that there are some probes that are out there. These probes cost about $2,000 or more. They need calibration, sometimes they need chemicals, and they tend to drift, which means that the signal starts to degrade over time and it has to either be recalibrated or you've got to get a new probe. Hawk, they have kind of what is known as the industry standard. It's very accurate, it's very good, but you have to put reagents in there all the time, and it costs $11,000, which means pretty much only power plants or something that has a supercritical water source, they're the only ones that have it. And there's even a $50,000 model called electrophoresis that I don't think anybody would spend $50,000 just to detect hardness. We plan to price our sensors at less than 10% of that Hawk sensor. So for an OEM product, they've told us that it needs to be less than $50. But for the sensors that would be in aftermarket, which we would sell to the service companies, it'd be somewhere between $200 and $500, depending on the bells and whistles that they wanted. And we will also make sure that we've got recurring revenue as well. So what's the market? It's the world. So, but of course, what we're going to do is, in the industry, there's about a $700 billion water and wastewater treatment. Of that, water softeners, depending on which report you look at, it's somewhere between $2 and $11 billion market. That's where we're going to start. But of course, we can go into smart water quality monitoring, environmental monitoring, especially as soon as we expand into looking at other sorts of sensors. We will start with working with companies that design, build, and install water treatment systems. This could be companies local like El Paso. We've got Industrial Water Services. They have supported us since we started the ICOR program. They are our partners with our Phase 1 STTR. They're going to be partners with our Phase 2. They are going to give us access to their customers, and they will be some of our first sales. Other people we will go with is within San Antonio. We've also got another OEM that's willing to work with us, and Culligan is our most recent. So from there, the service companies, the testimonials and the sales from them, that will allow us to get into an OEM firm, hopefully one really big one or several large ones. We have other strategies. We can work with stakeholders. We can go to Wisconsin, we can go to California, we can say, hey, your folks can still have soft water so long as they've got a sensor and they've got a more efficient softener. That'll open up more markets, that'll increase more sales for our customers. And finally, again, we're not a one-trick pony. We're going to move into other sorts of ions and other sorts of sensor techniques that we can work into. Projected sales, we'll start off with very small sales in the first couple of years, and that's because we plan on having our phase 2 STTR, and that's primarily because there's a few sorts of research things that we need to get out, but I still plan to sell 500 sensors in 2020. By 2021, I plan to have at least one 5,000 unit order. I've got a letter of support from a company that says so long as we pass their metrics, they're willing to order 5,000. And then from there, then we can grow from there. We plan to, by 2022, to move out of the MCA because we will need to be building much more at a time. Right now, I just build them in the lab. So we expect to be profitable within that time. Who are we? I've got about 20 years of experience in engineering. I've also got an MBA. I've been with this company from the start. We won the Paso North Day Venture Competition in 2014. We've got I-Core experience. We were also the only company, Texas company west of Austin, that made it into the Mass Challenge Texas program, and we were also a Texas Venture Connect program. The other co-founder is David Niemer, and I actually lost one of my co-founders this year, Tom Davis, Dr. Tom Davis. And so I brought in one of his former students to help us temporarily. So we're looking actually for some additional expertise that's in that area. But right now we're 60% female owned. We're looking for $750,000 from the STTR. We're looking to raise as much as $250,000 from investors as well as foundations. And what are we going to use that for? It's to get to sales. I need to get a sales team, I need to get some marketing, and I need to figure out a way, or I need to actually turn our technology into sales. I know we can do it. I just need to hire the right people to get it done. So essentially, again, so our goals, we've already accomplished a lot of our milestones, but our near-term goal is to get that STTR, the phase 2, and we see that we could be an attractive acquisition company from either a sensor company or a water treatment company. There's been companies that have sold as little as $2 million, as much as $40 million in doing similar things as what we are. So with that, I thank you very much for your time, and I'd be happy to answer questions.